Someone sent me a message the other day asking me to talk about Cameroon's educational system. I was like, what's even there to talk about Cameroon's educational system? So I thought of it. I really thought of it so hard. And today we'll be talking about the education system in Cameroon. Coming up right next.
Would you be my I still got a lot of shit to learn.
What up guys, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time on this channel, you're very much welcome. Please make sure you join the family by smashing that subscribe button below this video, and equally make sure you turn on the notification so you don't miss any of my videos. Yes, today we are talking about education in Cameroon. So let's dive into it. After the First World War, Cameroon was partitioned between France and Britain, with France having 80% of the country and Britain having 20% of the country. Hence the two languages, English and French. Hence two educational systems, the French educational system and the English educational system. We are going to look at this video from four angles. We are going to look at the structure of the Cameroon educational system. We are going to look at the infrastructure. We are going to look at the accessibility, and then we are going to look at the curriculum. Those are the four things that characterize the Cameroon educational system. Now, let's begin with the structure. First of all, there are three types of schools in Cameroon. We have the government schools, we have the private schools, and then we have the lay private schools, also known as mission schools. Yes, those are the three types of schools we have in Cameroon. And then Cameroon educational system is equally structured in three ways. We have the primary education, the secondary education, and the higher education. Now, let's begin with the primary education. The primary education comprises of pre-nursery schools, nursery schools, and primary school. So, on a general scale, you are supposed to do like 1 year in pre-nursery, 1 year in 2 years in nursery school, because there is nursery 1 and then there is nursery 2. So altogether, for you to go into primary school, into class 1, you have to do like 2 to 3 years in the nursery school. Now the primary school runs for 6 years. Like there is class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6. So you're supposed to be in the primary school for 6 years. And while in the primary school, you study everything, like it's sort of a general knowledge. You study hygiene, French, mathematics, nature study, citizenships, and drawing, and so on and so forth. So at the end of your 6-year program in the primary school, you're expected to take what they call the common entrance examination and the first school leaving certificate for the Anglophones. And then for the Francophones, it's equally 6 years in primary school. Then at the end of the 6-year program, you're expected to take the CAP. Yes, so the CAP and the first school common entrance, they are examinations that will lead you into secondary school. So if you don't pass those examinations, you will not be able to get access to secondary school. And for the secondary education, when you pass your first school leaving certificate, then you can have access to the secondary school. The secondary school runs for 5 years. You have Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and Form 5. Now, from Form 1 to Form 3, you do what we call general education. You study everything, physics, chemistry, everything, literature, everything. But at the level of Form 4, you're expected to choose either to study the science subjects or the arts subjects. At the end of your secondary education, you are expected to write an examination called the GCE O-Level, Government Certificate of Education. You are supposed to write the ordinary level, and for you to be able to have access to high school, you must pass the ordinary levels with at least 4 papers. Because while you've been Form 4 and Form 5 study, there will be many subjects. There will be physics, and for ordinary level, the maximum subjects you can study at a go is 11 subjects. So when you study your 11 subjects, or your 10, or your 8, or your 9, it depends on your capacity, your learning capacity, and so on. At the end of the day, you are required to have at least 4 subjects before you can have access to the high school. Yes, no matter the circumstance, you must have at least 4 subjects. And so in some cases, some schools forbid, if the 4 subject includes things like religious studies, food and nutrition, you might repeat. Yes, so the 4 subjects to pass must be strong subjects like physics, literature, geography, like English, good subject else. And then equally, make sure it's always advisable for you to try as much as possible to pass the English and French, because at the level of the universities you're going to find it very difficult if you did not pass English and French at the ordinary levels. Now, the high school in Cameroon is 2 years. We call it lower seed and upper seed. If you did arts in the secondary school, you're going to go to lower seed arts. If you did science in the secondary school, you're going to go to lower seed science. It's a 2-year program. At the end of the 2-year program, you're expected to write the final secondary school examination, which is called the GCE Advanced Level, Government Certificate of General Certificate of Education, the advanced level. So when you pass your advanced level, wow, you're not a big boy, you're a big girl, you're now going to the higher education. The higher education is now the universities. There are about 8 universities in Cameroon, and there are so many private higher institution of learning, private universities, let me put it that way. So you will choose. Of course, the one in university, there's usually orientation. They orientate you with regards to what you studied in high school. So they might orientate you that, okay, you studied this in high school, it will be advisable for you to do this course in the university. And the university in Cameroon, for you to have a bachelor's degree, is a 3-year program. 3 years program, sorry. So you enroll, after 3 years, you have your bachelor's degree. If you want to continue with your education, you can pick up the master, you can start doing the master's degree. And the master's degree in Cameroon ranges from 2 to 4 years, depending on how smart you are and how easy things go, because some things can be really complicated at the level of the master's degree, because you have to defend your course, your supervisor, and so on. So it can be a little bit difficult, but on a general scale, it usually takes from 2 to 4 years for you to have your master's degree. Now, for those who want to continue with their education, who want to have a PhD or a doctorate or whatever, you need to continue. And in Cameroon, I cannot really tell you is 3 years from master's degree or 2 years, because it really depends. It really depends on so many factors. It depends on how smart you are. It depends on the professor you're working with. If you're convinced that, okay, now you're fit to defend it. I mean, but generally it can take from 3 to 5 years. It can take from 3 to 5 years. So in Cameroon, for you to have a PhD, you have to study for like 20 years. You have to spend like 2 decades of your life studying. And what is more annoying in Cameroon is that at the end of the day, after having all those degrees, you'll be unemployed. You're going to be unemployed. It's sad, but it's the simple truth. So that is the structure. That is how the Cameroon educational system is structured. Now let's talk about the infrastructure. Yes, the infrastructure includes the building, the school building, the laboratory, and so on. And on a general scale, on a very general scale, the school infrastructure in Cameroon is horrible. It is extremely poor, especially in the Grand North, the Northwest, and the Southwest regions, respectively. I think the government in Cameroon pays a little bit more attention to schools in the cities like Douala, Yaoundé, Beto, I don't know. The schools in the cities are more privileged than schools in the suburbs and in the villages, and the situation is really getting worse every single day. Even in the modern day Cameroon educational system, you still find children in the north and in the northwest studies under trees, in bushes, sitting on the floor, studying in uncompleted buildings, and the situation is really bad. is really bad. Some of the schools in the cities are fortunate enough to have science laboratories and technical workshops where the students have the opportunity of having a workshop and having the practicals in the laboratory. But most, on a general scale, an average Cameroonian science student does not have access to a science laboratory. Same with a technical student. Now, let's talk accessibility. Are Cameroonian schools accessible? In theory, primary education in Cameroon is supposed to be free. Remember, I said in theory, but in practice, that's not the case. Parents are still expected to pay huge sums of money to get their children enrolled in primary school. The situation becomes even worse when they get at the level of the secondary school, because if your child did not have a list A in the first school living and the common entrance, you have to, we call it in Cameroon choco, you have to give a little bit of something for them, for your child to be admitted into the secondary school. So it's a little bit complicated when it comes to secondary schools in Cameroon. Okay, now let's talk curriculum. As I said earlier, on a general scale, Cameroon has a very poor system of education. I'm not proud of saying this, but that's a simple truth. Because so far so good with our system of education, that there is an increase not only in the rate of unemployment, brain drain. A lot of intellectuals, Cameroonian intellectuals, our best students are leaving the country. So the school curriculum is not really working, because in school children spend a lot of time studying irrelevant things. Let me put it that way. They will be studying things that does not add any value to their lives, and it will not help them in the future. For example, in the secondary schools, a single student will be forced to study like 15 subjects, 18 subjects. You study everything, physics, food and nutrition, everything. And before you graduate from high school, you realize that you really don't know anything as such. You really don't know anything, and the confusion becomes even worse when you get to the university, because due to poor orientation from the primary, secondary and high school, you don't really know what to do with your life. So you're being forced to study some things that are not going to help you. Someone will do science in school and then the person will be studying sociology in the university. You do arts in school and you go and study something that does not, you just mix up everything, and that is what is happening in the Cameroon educational system at the moment. There is a lot of confusion. The curriculum is not working at all. And I have equally noticed that most countries with high rate of unemployment have a terrible system of education. And that is the case with most African countries. The African curriculum is not working, and that is why Africa will keep having high rates of unemployment, high rates of brain drain, because the few students that really want to learn and want to achieve something in their lives, they will leave Cameroon. They will have to leave Cameroon, they will leave Africa, and they will go elsewhere where the educational system is a little bit better. You realize that our best science students, those who had 5A grades, 11A grades in the ordinary level, they are all ENS teachers, because at the end of the day, they just need to secure a matricle where they can have the government can support them and so on. They need to have a secured government job. And you see that if a very intelligent student, someone who was very intelligent in high school, had amazing science skills, the person will end up teaching maybe, I don't know, history somewhere. It's terrible. The situation is, the school curriculum in Cameroon is not really the best, and I just hope the Cameroon government can re-evaluate the curriculum and try to restructure everything so that students should be more specific. We need more technical schools in Cameroon than grammar schools. We need more specific sort of education, like from the very beginning. I should be able to start studying this from the very beginning, so that at a certain level I'll become a professional in that domain, rather than just studying everything and then at the end of the day I know nothing. It's not working. The curriculum of Cameroon is not the best. However, Cameroonians are fighters. Cameroonians are very curious people. Most people, they learn they do their research on their own, and most of the skills, the great skills you see in Cameroon, are people that actually did a lot of research on their own. They were not taught that in school, because they don't teach us that in school. They just teach us in school how to write CV, how to write an amazing CV, award-winning CV, and so on. But they don't really teach us the things that are going to make us have money. Unemployment in Cameroon is alarming due to the poor system of education. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, what are you still waiting for? Go ahead and join the family. Subscribe to my channel. Equally turn on the notification so that each time I upload a new video, you will get notified in real time. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.